So what's going on, everybody? This is your girl, Patrice K. Cokley of the Bassline Group. For those that are joining us for the first time, I am the founder and owner and chief strategist of the Bassline Group. The Bassline Group is a boutique marketing and branding agency where we work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, venues, as well as recording artists, help them develop their brand, manage it, so that way they can grow and build their business. So that being said, just gonna talk a little bit here about the topic for the day, which is branding. We're going to talk about branding. Now, the title, what was the title? The title that I've been using for the past couple of weeks, or the past week actually, promoting this episode, we'll be discussing the power of developing a brand and how it can catapult your career. Now, a lot of people talk about building a brand and brand this and brand that. I mean, brand is a word now that is very trendy. I mean, it's like the word entrepreneur. It's trendy. A lot of people are using that word. It's overused tremendously. But with this being Transparent Tuesday, and people that follow me and know me know that I like to keep it 100% real, straight, no chaser. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I'm going to let you know what a brand is, and we're going to talk about how you can use that to build your career. Now, first of all, brand is not your logo. Now, I know a lot of people say this. It's very cliche. Okay. And your brand is literally, it's not your logo. It's not your website. It is not a color scheme. All right. It is not that. Okay. So what I like to tell customers or clients, I don't want them to give me an idea for their logo. I ask them questions to get to know them. Okay, because that's what your brand is. Your brand is your representation. It's how you want to be perceived. Basically, it's how you want to be perceived in the marketplace. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can go about that. I'm not going to get into that here, but there's a lot of different ways that you can go about that. But simply put, your brand is how you want to be perceived in the marketplace. Now, me, for example, for Bassline, yes, I have a business name. The Bassline Group. I have a color scheme. I have a logo. I have a website. I have all of these elements that make up the brand, but it's just a small piece of that. Okay. Your brand, again, is how you want to be perceived. It's how you conduct business. It's basically your personality. That's what it is. It's kind of like when you look at yourself as a person, it's like, what makes you you? Yes, we have the exterior. You know, we have what we look like physically, which can change, but who are you? What are you and who are you on the inside? That's what your brand is when you think about it in a business format. Okay. It's how you want to be perceived in the marketplace. Now, you can't change who you are, right? You can't change who you are as a person unless you're growing, you're evolving, you got personal development and things like that. But your core is who you are. But when it comes to a business, you can change that, okay? Because again, it's how you want to be perceived, all right? Now, for example, Bassline, I actually started out operating as my name. Just Patrice K. Cokley is like an independent consultant in helping people. And then I transitioned into Bassline because I wanted to target more people within like the entertainment industry. So that's where the Bassline Group comes from. But there's a lot of other different elements within that. Okay. But at the same time, the Bassline it's a metaphor. All right. I want people to know that Bassline, we're authentic. Now, when I first launched it, I talked about authenticity all the time. So people know that about Bassline. They know that about me, that I'm authentic. I keep it real 100%. Okay. That's why I have you guys tuning in here, because you guys know what to expect. That's my brand. All right. So I can go and change my logo. I can change my color scheme. I can change whatever. But at the core, Bassline is still about being authentic. All right. Because when you think about the baseline of a song, it is the pulse, it's the foundation. Okay. So when you think of your brand serves as the same purpose. It's that pulse. It's the foundation to your career, whatever industry that you're in. All right. Now, when you start developing your brand, you always want to take a look at what's going on in the marketplace. Okay. You want to look at your competitors. You want to do a complete SWOT analysis. Okay. And for those that don't know what that is, SWOT, it's not like the cops. It's not that like the SWAT team. It's SWOT. It's an acronym. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay. You want to look at those within your industry. You want to look at your strengths. What makes you strong? Okay. In your market. All right. For me, I have qualities about myself and my business that makes me strong and the business strong. What are your weaknesses? There's some things that I'm weak on. Okay. And I have no problem admitting them. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's a whole different broadcast. But there's weaknesses. And a lot of people don't like to address those because, it makes them feel bad. But you got to know what you're weak on. So that way you can leverage that with people who are strong in those same categories. Okay, there's some things within my business that I'm weak on, and that's why I have a team to help fill that gap. So it's always good to know what your weaknesses are for that reason. You need to know your opportunities. What's missing? What's missing in the marketplace? Yes, there's a lot of people out here to do what we do. Okay, there's tons of agencies. There are tons of rappers. Okay, there's tons of clothing lines, photographers, authors, painters, graphic designers, you name it. Okay, there's tons of them. But when you look at the marketplace, you want to find what's missing. Gary Vaynerchuk, he calls it the white space. Look for the white space. Okay, you always want to look for a space that's not being tapped into and figure out if that's a space that you can squeeze in. Okay, with Bassline Group, I was able to do that. I found a space that I was able to squeeze in. Now, you won't be able to squeeze in overnight. It may take a little time for you to wiggle into that space, but the point is that you found it. Okay, so those are opportunities. And then threats. You want to take a look at your competition. Okay, who's also, basically, is there anyone else looking at those same opportunities? Is there someone out there that's competing with you on the same level? Is there someone out there that saw that same white space and trying to get in there too? Okay. What's threatening you? And you want to take a look at those to see if there's a way that you can maneuver, if you can change your strategy just to compete with that threat or even overpower it. All right. So again, it's SWOT, SWOT, your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is something that I work with every client when we're developing their brand, because you got to know these things. Okay. Now, the point of having a brand, and this is how you use this to catapult your career, really. Okay. You gotta know your market. You can't just throw something out there and hoping that it'll stick. All right. I always tell clients or anybody that I'm consulting, if you're an artist, you are so much more than your music. If you're a fighter, you are so much more than you being in that ring. Okay. You are so much more than that. That's your brand. And that's what people are going to gravitate to, simply because there's a lot of things out here in the market. All right. Right now, it's 7:00 Central Time. Right now, me being on this being on this broadcast, I am competing with whatever's on the TV right now. I'm competing with your children. If you're taking time out away from your family to tune in, I am competing with you eating dinner, unless you're sitting here eating dinner with me. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that's going on in people's lives that you have to compete with. All right. The point in having a brand is making it easier for those people to choose you out of everything. Why should they follow you? Why should they watch you? This is what that brand is. Okay. Why should I pay $20 to come see you? And for me, why should I not only pay $20, but why should I pay the $20 and then get in my car? That's what's up. And then get in my car, to drive an hour in traffic, pay tolls, and then pay $20 to park to see you. Okay? Your brand has to be so on point to where not only am I spending $20, but I'm spending an hour in my car driving, dealing with Chicago traffic to come see you. You have to be that good. And that's where the brand comes in. Okay? It's not that your music is good, because hell, I can listen to your music online. I can listen to it in the comfort of my home. But why do I want to come see you? And not only that, when I come to your show, you better put on one hell of a show. This is why Beyonce sells out all the time. This is why she can go on tour every damn year singing the same old songs and throw a couple more in there, and people will let bills go and face eviction notices just to come to her show, because her brand is that on point. This is the same concept that you need to have in whatever business that you're in, whether it's music, whether you are a small mom and pop store that sell candy, popcorn, or whatever. Why should I come to your popcorn shop when I can go to Garrett's? I mean, let's be real. So this is where the brand comes in. Okay. And this is how you can utilize that to catapult your career. It's not just about having a good product, because honestly, all of our products are pretty good to us. To us, our products are good. Not only do our products have to be better than the next man, but we have to present it, package it in a whole different way than someone else. All right. And this is where that brand comes into play. For example, I'm going to use a boxer. Okay. Why do I want to come see your fight? I don't even like boxing like that. But if I am personally connected, or I feel a vibe from that boxer and who he is, what he represents outside of the ring, maybe I'll come check him out. See how that works? This is how you're able to build a fan base, and you continue to grow it. You continue to be you, do your thing, grow it to the point where now you're being exposed to different markets. Another example is a gentleman that I love to talk about, because he is like perfect when it comes to building his brand and developing it in a way that's basically creating multiple streams of income for him in ways that he probably never even thought of. His name is D1. Definitely check him out. The letter D, number 1, music.com. But he's D1 on all platforms. And the reason why I like him, okay, perfect example. I came upon him, I would say about 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe. And he did a song where he called out all the major rappers, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, and just called them out like, you guys are in this position to make a change, but you're not doing it. You know, he's actually a former middle school teacher from New Orleans, turned rapper. And the thing that he did not too long ago that really took him up a notch was that he got signed. Facts. I can't stand Lil Yachty, but listen to his tapes, cuz. Exactly. Danny, you got it. Exactly. I couldn't even tell you who that man is. Lil Yachty. I heard the name, seen the name. If I saw a picture, I know him. But yes, how he conducts himself in interviews, you like him. 50 Cent is another example. If you ever watch 50 Cent in interviews, man, love that man. I love me some 50 Cent because I love how he articulate his thoughts. It's like he's speaking in a way that you would have never expected him to speak. You know, he's very intelligent. Very intelligent. I love it. But that's a perfect example. But D1, he did a song earlier this year called Sally Maybach, where he's actually, he had got a record deal, got an advance, and he used that money to pay off his student loans. And he made this song called Sally Maybach. I paid Sally Maybach. Maybach, it goes something like that. And that song alone shot him up. Because not only did he make good music that a lot of people can relate to, who can't relate to having student loans? Everybody, okay? So not only did he make a song that was catchy and that's relatable, but he already had a brand in place. it wasn't like he created this fictitious image to create this song. Like you have a lot of artists out here now that are creating these fictitious images just to put music out. But then when you turn the camera off, they're totally different. No, this guy, this is who he is. Like I said, he's a former middle school teacher. His kind of like what Kanye did in the beginning. Kanye made songs and albums and LPs and whatnot that were college themed. D1 kind of did something similar. The project before this one, he had one called school lunch, something, school lunch and student loans or some shit like that. But I can't think of the name of it, but it was school thing. It was the whole thing was about school. So that makes sense with him being a former teacher. But then he came out with this song. Guess what this dude is doing now? He got a deal with Sally Mae. Like the Navient, I think that's what they're called now, Navient. But Sally Mae, he has a deal with them now. And he's going around to different schools speaking about the importance of being financially literate. He is now speaking about student loans and being responsible with your money. And not only that, Sally Mae partnered with him to go on this speaking tour and to also give out $5,000, awarding students with a $5,000 scholarship. Come on now. You can't tell me that ain't hot. That's a source of income. That's a partnership that he probably never thought of. In the beginning. Never. So when you think of a brand, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Putting yourself in a position to where you are speaking directly to your audience, and that you're also your whole delivery is something that people can not only relate to, but it's putting you in the way that you want to be perceived. Okay, Marcus, before that goes away. So would you say that being relatable is less or more important than quality of the product? I say they're both. Both are equally important. Both are equally important. That's why so many pop up. Yeah, I agree. Both are equally important. Not only do you have to be relatable, but you also have to have quality. Because if you make a song that's relatable and I vibe to it, but if the quality is there, I can easily bypass that and go with somebody else. You don't want to leave no stone, or whatever that saying is, no stone unturned or whatever. You want to have all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted. All right. So don't half-ass on the quality ever, because people look at that. It's so important. Having a good mix, having good quality graphics, all of that, because there's a lot of people right now that just go the cheap way on that. They put out half-ass music. They record music in their bathroom and it don't even sound right. They have these graphics done by my 4-year-old nephew. The shit looks horrible. And it's, that alone, I don't even want to listen to it, no matter how relatable it is. The quality isn't there. You started off on the wrong foot. So always invest in quality, but also be relatable. They go hand in hand. Definitely go hand in hand. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to drop them in the comments. But yeah, just having that brand can certainly catapult your career, just because, you're putting yourself in a position to stand out and to stand amongst everybody else. Like I said, with Bassline, I'm competing with other companies out here that may be working with big labels. I know a gentleman now who do something very similar to what I do, and he's in charge of all of the marketing for Rick Ross. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, there's people out here to do the same thing. So I have to, make sure my brand is on point and offer the right things to attract those businesses. Danny, what does Bassline do? The Bassline Group is a marketing and management agency. We focus on entertainers, venues, small businesses, and entrepreneurs, and we help them develop their brand and manage it and put them in a position to make money. That's simply put. So we do graphic design, web design, management, any kind of representation. If you want to, build a brand so that way you can leverage that. Strategic partnerships, PR, we're getting into that. Yeah, because there's different facets of PR. But as far as like blog outreach and trying to get you placed on blogs, we certainly do that. I mean, we do the whole nine. You can find more information at the basslinegroup.com. That's, yep, you spelled it right too. BASSLINE group.com. Any other questions about branding? Is anyone having any issues with their own brand that, you know, they may be stuck on? Because, I mean, like I said, it is so important. I always tell people that. I mean, it's good, especially with artists. Artists, I don't know what it is about artists. Maybe it's that whole right left brain thing and that creativity. You guys get so excited, you know, and I was an artist too before, but at the same time, I'm business oriented. So I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't do it that way. You know, it's like I'm teeter-tottering. But with artists, Danny, you said that. I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say that. But with artists, you guys make music and you want to immediately rush it to market, meaning you immediately want to put it on SoundCloud and tweet it and Facebook it, Instagram it, and just put it out there without having a plan, without having a brand. Do you know, I mean, come on now. If I pull up SoundCloud right now, y'all know how much music is on SoundCloud. This is why I don't even like listening to music. Okay, I'm going to be honest. And I didn't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. This is why I don't even like listening to music. Simply because your music does not tell the story. Your music may not tell the story, and your music may not be a representation of you. It may not be your brand. The music that you put out could just be something that just sounds good and you released it. I want to know who you are first. And then if I'm digging you, if I'm feeling you, we have a rapport, then I may check your music out. You know, so it's totally different. So you got to have that brand first, and you got to have a plan in place before you even put it out, and making sure that plan is reinforcing the brand. It all ties together. It all ties together. And last week I talked about rollout strategies, how it's so important to have a plan in place before you just throw your music out there. But it all starts with the brand. I wouldn't even start a website or even a logo design until you have your brand, until you know what it is that you want to represent, until you know your SWOT, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Once you know your USP, your unique selling proposition, meaning what's unique about you. Once you have all of these things, then you can start formulating that image. And then you can start writing music that reinforces that image. This is why Beyonce is who she is, because she makes music that reinforces the image that she has. And this is why she's able to take your money before the light man gets it. I mean, that's how having a brand catapults your career. You have to sit. Yes, it's okay to be creative. It's okay to write new music. It's okay to come up with a million different flavors for whatever it is you're working on. It's okay to train and get booked in for different shows. It's okay to get booked for fights. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's okay. But if you really want to take things up a notch, develop that brand. All right, Graylin, what we got? Can a new company have a different branding than the face of the company? Can a new company have a different branding than the face of the company? What do you consider to be the face of the company? What do you mean? So, for example, can a new company like Bassline is a new company. Can it have a different branding than the face of the company, meaning me, my face? Is that what you mean? Yeah, this was my biggest issue. Treating art as an art instead of a product. That, man, you said it, Danny. It is definitely a product. Your music, actually, it's the byproduct. You are the product. Okay? You are the product. As an artist, you are the product, not your work. You. Your art is a byproduct. The person. Can a new company have a different branding? Yes, it sure can. It sure can. There's companies out here that don't even have a face, Graylin. There's a lot of companies, especially in my industry, that don't have a face. You know, it's just a group of people. So, yes, Can Patrice have a different branding than Bassline? Hell yeah, why not? Hell yeah. Think about it. Let's look at some examples. 50 Cent. He has a different branding than Power. You know, all these big rappers and music executives, they have a different brand than some of the products that they're involved in. They're involved in stuff that you may not even know about. So yeah, you can have a different branding than Bassline and vice versa. Yep, you can certainly do that. It really, again, it depends on your audience. Okay. Before I even launched Bassline Group, I thought long and hard on whether or not I wanted to be the face of it. And then I just chose to be the face of it just simply because, I mean, I'm the face of it. It needs to have a face starting out. All those Jewish executives don't represent what they sell. Nope. The people and I'm using music because it's so relatable. The faces that we even see in the music industry, like your Kevin Liles, I was just watching an interview of him, Kevin Liles, Russell Simmons, they're not even the big dogs. There's people above them that you don't even know, you know? And they probably look like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, and we don't even know who these guys are. Buffett and them, Warren Buffett, you know? That's a totally different brand, but they have their hands in it. So yeah, it can be different, you know? You have to think backwards. You got to reverse engineer. You got to think about how you want to be perceived, and then determine if you want to be the face of it or not be the face of it. If I wanted Bassline to be something different than what I am naturally, then it makes sense to not be the face of it and just brand it in a different way. But I mean, Bassline is just an extension of me, so that's why I'm the face of it. Marcus, what mistakes do companies make with branding? They rush too fast. Companies make mistakes by rushing too fast with their brand, and they're rushing too fast to the market. They don't have a well thought out plan. And this is why you see businesses come and go. They come for a good year or two and then they fall off. Or this is why you see businesses marketing for 6 months, they going hard and then they fall off. They're rushing too fast. They're not doing their research. They're not taking the time to actually build it. I always tell people that I've been doing this for 8 years. Okay, I've been consulting for 8 years, but Bassline has been in existence for 2. And even out of those 8 in those 2 years, I wasn't even doing this full time. I only started doing this full time for the past year. Okay, so it takes time to build the brand. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. It takes time to build that foundation. Okay. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make when building a brand, is that they rush. They do not take the time to invest the market and see what would work best for them and who they're targeting. They want to put out what they think is cool, but it's like, are you buying it, or are you just making it? You want to put out what's cool to the people that's going to be buying it. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. Marcus, you also asked, how long did it take you to create and build your brand? Like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years. Okay. 8 years I've been building and developing a brand, and I wasn't even Bassline. I mean, my first brand was a whole different name. I was targeting an entirely different market, but it was still dealing around multimedia and marketing. It still had that essence to it, but I was catering to a totally different industry, a totally different segment of society, pretty much a different community. And I transitioned because I didn't want to be known for that. Okay, I transitioned. So not only that, I saw how the industry was going and how the market was going. So I decided to pivot. And that's why I posted today that it's okay to pivot. It's so okay. So if you guys that's watching now, if you're on the road somewhere and it's just not working out, and you gave it all you can give it, okay? You gave it all that you can give it. It's okay to pivot. It is so okay to pivot, okay? Don't think that you have to hold on to something because you invested so much money into it, all right? Don't think that. I mean, businesses fail all the time, all right? It's like there's people out here that have 8, 10 businesses before they actually made it big. Just like some of these artists, they have songs that flop before they get to their hit. It happens. All right. So if you guys are on the track and you feel like, man, this ain't working out, or, you feel yourself evolving and changing, it's okay to just switch it up a little bit. Okay. I switched up. Like I said, I switched up 4 times in these past 8 years. And that's only because when you think about it, life has changed in the past 8 years. Life, society, interest, the internet, technology, it changes. Danny said Miguel. Yeah, Miguel changed. Let's look at some artists. Miguel was one. What's his name? Blurred Lines. The Blurred Lines guy. Robin Thicke, he's changed. Trey Songz has changed. Chris Brown has changed. 50 Cent changed. I mean, it's okay to pivot. All right. Like I said, I started out with one brand. I'm not going to say that name, but it's a good name. It's so good that I might do something with it. I don't know yet. But I started out as one brand name, and then I transitioned into PKC Marketing, which was my initials. Then I transitioned into just being my name. Now, the difference between those is, even though it was still me, it was a little difference in how I handled business, the services that I offered, the markets that I decided to target. That's what was different about it. And then from my name, I went into the Bassline Group. So even though I was a part of each one, what changed was how I handled and conducted business and what the market and the industry I was targeting. That's what changed. So I may change again. I may do something else. Bassline may become something else, and then I may just be me. Who knows? It depends on what the industry and the market is doing. Because as an entrepreneur, you have to remain flexible. I think this is something that a lot of people really don't get to, is that as an entrepreneur, you cannot be stuck in your thoughts and in your ways. You have to be flexible. You have to. Just simply because the market, technology, all this shit changed. Facebook changed. We didn't even have Facebook Live last year. Okay? Things change all the time. So if you want to keep these checks coming in, if you want to continue to make this money to the point where you don't have to go punch a clock, you have to be open and willing to change and pivot. This is why you see a lot of people that's been in businesses or in industries for 30 plus years, because they was able to change. Can you speak on how a brand can bounce back from social and financial tragedies? Oh, Marcus, look at you with them questions. Get it. All right. Yep, more than one stream of revenue. So can you speak on how a brand can bounce back from social and financial tragedies? Yes. If it's financial, that's something that you may not be able to bounce back from, unless you create something in its place that just overpowers it. And the brand that I'm thinking of is Samsung. Samsung is a brand right now that is dealing with a lot of shit because of these phones are damn near killing people. And I'm lucky that I didn't get the phone, because that was a phone that I've been waiting on since the beginning of this year. And it sucks, but that's a brand. Like, from this one phone, their entire brand is just shit now. And especially when you got a giant like Apple watching, you know what I'm saying, and paying attention to how they handle it and everything. So with a company like Samsung, they will have to come out with, man, see, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to tell. And I don't know what their financials are looking like, because there's been reports that they've lost like billions, like $5 billion, I think I read, from this. So there's a couple of ways they can go about it, depending on what their financials look like, depending on what their paperwork and their money. They can either create a new product and name it something different, rebrand it. Maybe don't call it a Galaxy Note, call it something else, Saturn something, you know, so that way it loses that name recognition. That way people are not thinking, oh, it's a Note. I'm not getting them note. I ain't gonna mess with the note because it was blowing up. So maybe they have to repackage it. And if they repackage it, they have to, they have to throw some kind, they got to do something. And I'm not no technology geek, when it comes to that, but it's like they have to do something to get people to feel safe enough to buy their phones. What it is, I have no idea. But you can bounce back from it, but it's just a matter of how you go about it. If it's something social, there's a lot of brands that's doing stupid stuff. With the whole Black Lives Matter, you got brands saying stupid stuff. And then you also have brands like Ben and Jerry that's supporting it. Okay? You can bounce back from that too, but it depends on the situation. It really depends on the situation. Some brands aren't able to bounce back from it. Like Trump, he's a brand. I don't know if he's able to bounce back from all this mess that he's creating. And I don't like getting into politics, so I ain't going to say too much on that. I don't like getting into and having these discussions on that. But he, as a brand, I don't know if he's able to bounce back from this. Let's say he doesn't win. Then where does that lead him professionally? Because remember, he's a brand. He has a lot of businesses out here that has his name on it. Oprah is another example. Financial tragedies. She was struggling with her own network, her OWN network, when it first launched. She was losing money. People were talking about her, but she continued on. She was having a financial setback. And again, they always say your first 1 to 2 years, you do not make any money. You may be operating in the red. And that's what she was doing. Even though this is Queen Mother Oprah, she was still dealing with some issues when she launched her network. Okay. So what she did was she just sat back. She didn't listen to the naysayers. She didn't put out no press release and public service announcements and all that shit. She just sat back and continued on. And she started, picking up new shows, putting out good content and being consistent. And then it started looking up for her. Now she got Super Soul Sundays. She got Bishop T.D. Jakes on the show. She got Ayanla's show now. Now look at her, So it really depends. It's a case-by-case scenario. And also not only how you handle it, but also how your audience is perceiving it. Okay? All that matters. So as a business owner, I always tell people it's always good to have somebody on your team that's not biased and that's able to look at all these little things. You need to have an Olivia Pope on your team, straight up. Okay? You need to have an Olivia Pope from Scandal. You need to have her on your team looking at everything that's going on and that's able to direct you in the right direction. Because if you're in it, you don't see it. You're too deep in it. And this is what I tell artists. Always have other people that's not your friend and that's not a family member, listen to your shit. So you can get that constructive criticism and that feedback. Because you're so deep into the music, you're so deep into your business, you can't hear anything around you. I'm the same way. When it comes to developing my own websites, developing anything, I have people that I go to and they've become really good people that I trust who I go to for their feedback because I may have overlooked something. All right. So this is why it's always good to have that team in place to look at things and tell you, what's going on. The president, for example, he has a whole building. He has so many people on his team. People think the president is the guy. No, the president isn't running the country. You got people behind him running the country. No one man can run this country. All you can hear is the motherfucker. But I know that's right. That's it. That's all you can hear. What were your steps for building a team that fits around your brand? For one, the steps, number one, is to know what your brand stands for. That's number one. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know what their brand stands for. What it means. What does your brand actually mean? So that's the first step. Really understand your brand inside and out. Number 2, see who's interested in your brand. See who's truly, genuinely interested and excited, and ask you 50 questions about your brand. For example, Marcus, I'm going to use you for an example. I took a liking to you because you've always been intrigued by what I said in class. And just in general, you showed a genuine interest in branding and what Bassline does. Okay, and you show that more than once. So, as an example, that's that. But that's number 2. Look and see who is genuinely interested in what it is that you're doing. All right. Number 3, and I'm thinking of this as I'm going. The 3rd, also take a look and see what roles you need to fill. All right. For me, because I do so much and I'm like the chief strategist, I don't want to be sitting behind the computer building websites all day. I do not want to be writing business plans all day. I do not want to do social media management all day. So I started thinking about places and little spots within the business that need to be filled. So now I know what roles that are open and available within my team. So for an artist, you may need someone that manages all your business, depending on where you're at in your career. You may need a publicist. You may need someone that helps you, get blog placements, or to just handle press inquiries or whatever dealing with the press. You may need a graphic designer because your design is shit. I mean, let's be real. It may be shit. So you may need a graphic designer. You may need someone to be the main point of contact. You may need that web designer. So start understanding your brand. Pay attention to who's actually interested in your brand, because those are the people that's going to work for you. Those are the people you can trust because they're genuinely interested, versus someone that's just being around just to get your knowledge, or there's a meme that's floating around where there's people on a boat and they're stealing pieces from the big boat so they're to build their own boat. You don't want them people on your boat. You don't want people pulling from your boat to build their own boat unless they come out and say that. Like, here, I'm just here to learn because this is what my goals are. But there's people that will try to be on your team and say they all gung-ho for you when really they're not. So it's really good to just pay attention and see who's genuinely interested. And then also identify what roles that needs to be filled. So that way you can start seeing who has those qualities that you're looking for. So I hope that answers your question about building a team that fits around your brand. Any other questions? What time is it? It's 7:46. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions about building a brand that catapults your career? Like I said, man, you really want to start with what it is that you want to be known for, and be okay to pivot, be okay to change and transition and evolve. Like, for example, I'm 35 years old. I'm not the same Patrice at 25. I sure as hell ain't the same Patrice at 15. So you evolve. I'm not the same Patrice at 20. So you evolve. You definitely evolve. So you want to really get to know yourself. Building a brand that's centered around you really takes some time. You got to know yourself. You really got to get to know who you are and what you represent and how you want to be perceived. And if you're trying to just build a brand that's not tied to you, you have to do the same thing, but for the business. It's kind of like you got to do the same thing, but in reverse. Instead of looking at you, you want to look at your audience and see what your audience needs are. So that way you can meet them. Growth and development. Yes, indeed. It is so important. Entrepreneurship, it is no game. This is why I see a lot of people that start off saying they're entrepreneurs and then they go back and go get jobs, because it's really no joke. You are the business owner. A big company, when you go into a 9-to-5, you got a big old company that's handling all these roles. And then you got all these different departments who have a team of people in each department. Versus an entrepreneur, you're just one person handling all these different departments. and it can get tough. And you have to do a lot of soul searching to develop this brand. But once you get it, it is so well worth it. All right. Once you get it, and once you let the ego go and be humble and really take a look inside, and as Danny said, be open to growth and development, you can catapult your shit. I mean, you can knock it out the park. Only if that's what you want to do. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. This is Patrice K. Cokley from the Bassline Group. I am everywhere on social media. Facebook, obviously, be sure that you like this page. If you want, at the bottom, there should be a little button for you to be notified. I am only going live on this page every Tuesday at 7. So go ahead and hit the notification so that way you can be alerted when I go live, just in case you miss it. I will not blow up your notifications on a Saturday morning showing you, what it looks like to brush my teeth and all that crazy shit. I don't do that. I'm only going live on this page every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So don't be afraid to hit the notification button below so you can be notified just in case you missed all of the reminders. Also, follow me on Instagram. I got some motivational posts going up. I love it. I mean, there's some good content being shared. Definitely follow me on Instagram at the Bassline GRP. And it's the same handle on Twitter, the Bassline GRP. And like I said, if you're interested in working with the crew, check us out at thebasslinegroup.com. I am based here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. But like I always tell people, the planes and the trains and cars work. I do not limit myself to Chicagoland. We got the internet and we got transportation to get us around. So, hey, if you want to work, let's work. Just hit me up. And we can pretty much just go from there. Again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. And I'll catch y'all next week. Peace.